For returning viewers to the channel, you're probably wondering why it's taken me so long to make this video. For anyone who's new to the channel, which is probably most of you, you've probably already done this run yourself and are curious to see how other people did it. Hi, I'm Snack, and if you don't know me, I've played Frontiers on extreme difficulty way too much. Why am I doing this to myself, you might ask? Well, I'd always intended to do it, but not while the game was broken in Update 3. Yes, there are 4 extreme difficulty videos prior to this, but I was yet to do a simple, unmodded playthrough in the final horizon without any stupid restrictions. The rules for this challenge are simple. Select new game, choose extreme difficulty, and go for the final horizon ending. We record these runs over on my live streams. You can find my streams over at twitch.tv/Snackpigeon with a 1 and a 0. There's nothing else to it really. Let's just get going. There is really not much to talk about during early game, so let's just discuss what extreme difficulty actually does to the game. Enemies get more health, Sonic gets his stats locked at level 1, which I don't mind, no need for Seeds of Power, so anything to speed up progression, and I mean, the game is really easy with max stats anyway, so I see this as an absolute win. And for the icing to top off this shitcake of a difficulty, Sonic dies in 1 hit. I was all for extreme difficulty in the previous versions of the game because in the base game, it does actually add that extra challenge you need. I still am for the idea of it, but you'll see what it is that bothers me when we reach the final horizon. In stage 1-1, I didn't bother with getting all the keys because I'll be using the island skip. I had the graphics enhancement mod turned on because I figured it might make the footage a bit nicer to look at, but it just caused more problems than before. Extreme difficulty doesn't make a huge difference early on in the game. The Triangusi, sorry, the thick ninja mommy. Richard isn't exactly hard either. If you use some of the platforms above, it lets you avoid all the attacks and go straight for the head. I thought we were past these jokes. 1-2 has aged gracefully, still proving to be a challenge regardless of how you choose to complete it, but we don't need any keys. And that's most of our tasks on Kronos Island done. I do want to grab
your mom's ass
Grand Slam from Amy before progressing, so I chose to grab the Emerald, talk to Amy, unlock Grand Slam, and then run around the island stocking up on skill points. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but Hyper Bounce was just not working. It definitely hadn't been patched out. I'm sure speedrunners are still using it. But I just decided to skip the island the old-fashioned way with a good old HSP. To beat all the bosses, you only need to unlock as far as Stomp for Giganto and then grab Quick Psyloop for the others. I'd recommend using Quick Psyloop against Giganto anyway, otherwise you end up in situations like this.
No, I actually died against Giganto, are you kidding?
But Giganto really isn't that hard. Just either parry into Grand Slam repeatedly or do what I did. Psyloop into Stomp, and then our first boss is done. Arid requires far too many memory tokens to be enjoyable, so we're gonna skip this too. Well, most of it anyway. I saw the new Wyvern Escape skip and I was like, nah. So let me walk you through how a normal person can do it. You can pinpoint the 4 treasure spots closest to spawn, go to 2-2, maybe fail it a few times along the way, and use slingshots and low jump deceleration to get around. Slingshots aren't as hard as they look. Just lock on, magnet dash away, and then you want to dodge, into stomp, into boost. Talk to Knuckles, grab the Chaos Emerald, and then just run from the Wyvern as normal. To slingshot to Wyvern, we just Psyloop a soldier, but dash away before we activate it, and this puts the soldier a bit higher, giving you a better angle. Do you guys remember this one tweet where someone was complaining that the Wyvern gameplay was soulless? This isn't a review, but I do have to say, this parry is stupid. If you just hold parry at every opportune moment, Wyvern will never be able to hurt you. There's no need to time anything. The fight is fun, don't get me wrong, it just isn't hard in the slightest. Not just now anyway. Now I'm not complaining about the parry in the context of the actual game, I'm complaining in the context of extreme difficulty. If you've ever played Resident Evil 4, the remake, not the original, you'll know why I find this an issue. Resident Evil 4 introduces professional difficulty when you beat the game for the first time, and one major thing it does is makes the parry window much tighter, preventing you from spamming the button to avoid attacks. Just saying, Frontier should have done something similar for extreme, but oh well. I guess the King's Trial had the right idea.
Crush the skull, thank you.
One thing I do like about Extreme is the time constraints in the cyberspace stages. It adds a little variety as some stages become much more difficult to get all keys at once, giving you some replayability. One thing I don't like about making videos on this game is that my PC starts to scream at me and lags the game out. I just want to run graphics enhancements, man. This is why I can't have nice things. Now, it's no secret that I hate Chaos Line with a passion, so I brought in my good friend Christy Connect, hoping she'd be able to provide me with the much needed knowledge I was missing. Well, she certainly kept everyone in high hopes.
Give Snack a few minutes, guys. He's fixing technical issues. Give him a second. It's well worth the wait. I'm gonna tell you guys.
You don't even know what the reveal is.
Shield escape is nothing special, the only difference being that squid bullets can kill you. The shield would kill you anyway. If you know how to skip this, feel free. I still can't seem to do it without spin dash. And I call myself the King of Frontiers. Guardians on extreme difficulty. Yeah. What is this? 3-5 is next for some more keys. Just jump over the drift panels and lightspeed dash on the rings. You'll make it in time even with the extreme changes, and all the red rings are pretty obvious. Space shooting! Whee! Normally I would use slingshots to traverse the island and skip the tunnels, but recently I've decided to use the tunnel because, to be honest, it's the best platforming that this island offers, even if it takes a little while longer. I went back to the white emerald just to find I still didn't have enough keys, so I made sure I reacted accordingly. Better not take damage! I headed to 3-4 next. I still don't like this stage, but it is pretty free. All you need to know is where the red rings are. It's basically an auto run stage, so your S rank is guaranteed. Next we head to the yellow emerald, then the white emerald, and then the boxes where you'll only get 1 HP because extreme difficulty. Sonic, what the hell are you doing with that? And then bridge, which gives you just 1 HP as well, and finally, pinball, which never fails to drive me insane. Please someone teach me the pinball skip. With Knight, he'll be a lot easier if you make sure your quick Psylop is full before you go in. If you don't have it, it's no biggie. You can just do Cyclone Kick, Dodge Stomp to build it up, and then parry again to Psylop up. Cross Slash will decimate his health bar. Then in phase 2, just do the same thing. I chose the Grand Slam because they look cool, but it's definitely more efficient to just Psylop up and Cross Slash. And now, that's all our easy bosses out the way.
I'm going to shit yourself.
Nothing to talk about in Ray Island apart from this bit I always die at. Some skills I would definitely recommend for Amy are multi-lock and high card jump. Unlike the last time I played vanilla, we aren't locked to just the base skills, which actually removes a ton of the challenge. The extra characters have also had a damage buff since I last played, so if for some reason I wanted to fight a guardian, I'm sure I could. High card jump will let you get loads of height, and if you boost just before you use your last jump, you can glide pretty far at a reasonably fast speed. You can achieve this by using Magnet Dash as well, and she will fly very quickly, but you can see that it makes Amy's platforming a complete breeze. Multi-lock is just nice to have. Basically, to make Knuckles super simple, just get parry and punch, maybe his stomp thingy just for a bit of convenience, but that's all. The Sonic Boom exploit got heavily nerfed in 1.41, but you can still make reasonable enough use of it. For example, if you're just short of the height you need, you'll be able to use it, but not much else on him. His vertical mobility kinda sucks otherwise. You can kinda guess what I went for with Tails, and it took a while to grind for, going through all parts of the island trying to find the skill points to get the Cyclone. But once you have it, you don't need to do any of the platforming or puzzles, and to be honest, it rocks. The speedrunners do this too, but I play far too casually to care about routing, so if you want to learn how to do this properly, I suggest you go and have a look at what they get up to. I've now made it as far as Sonic's segment and completely forgotten that I need loads of Lookout Koco. I tackled 4B next. I would completely avoid the missions to save the animals because they are tedious, painful, and annoying. Yeah, I know they're all pretty much synonyms, but that's how severe this is. Most other missions that you're offered should be fine. Unlike main game cyberspace, you don't get a bonus for clearing all the missions in a stage, so there's not much loss in leaving one out. I love these towers, especially when you get an infinite loading loop when you reach the top and want to take on the trial. Against Dragon's Trial, seriously, just stand there and parry. Don't attack shielded soldiers because they'll just counterattack and you'll die. It sounds a lot easier said than done, but using a Grand Slam has a high risk of killing you. So just Cyclone Kick a soldier in the air during the slowdown. It's much safer. To grab some more Koco, I went to 4D. It's pretty straightforward, there's no time limit for most of the stages, so if you need a handful of Koco quickly, this stage is your best bet. Just grab the number of rings, then take a specific path up to the hidden exit. After that stage, I was only 1 Koco away from all the ones I needed, but I wanted it to be fun, so I went for the hidden exit in 4I. This is one of the better stages in my opinion, and the hidden exit is very easy to find, perfect for one last Koco. No! Tower 2 was mostly fine. I suck at the mine part, but at least I didn't explode this time. In the trial, stay as far away from the shell as you can until it throws, dodge the throw by attacking, and then parry the shell back and forth. You'll be able to land 3 or 4 hits before the shell loops back around. Psylop being the only available skill means nothing. You don't need any move other than basic punching. And then we can head to Tower 3. I'm not the greatest at using the HSP trick to skip the towers. Maybe I'm just weird, but now that the game has got better platforming sections, I actually want to do them. Respect to those who can skip them though, that's impressive. And the Trial 3 skip is honestly the most fun way to do it anyway. Just jump right before parry number 6, and then as soon as it lands, use the Stomp Shockwave. This was the first time I ever did Tower 4 properly. I just sucked at the game on my first shot of the update, and then on other instances of playing, I either couldn't do it, or didn't need to. And then the Trial is a total joke. Do you even want me to explain how to beat it? Probably not. You've all seen BickeryBox12's video on this trial by now. Back to Amy's segment, I didn't give myself enough time to get Starfall Plus in the first area, so I got no Koco. Back to the drawing board here, we need to find them manually. There's a few hotspots for them, you can find them around most of the stone structures that don't have lights on them. Knuckles is business as usual, just use the boom exploit for the tad bit of extra height whenever you need it, and then the rest is in his big flying segment. Nothing too iconic to talk about here, and Tails, well, I think you figured out how easy this is by now. If you haven't done so yet, I suggest you go check out this video after you're done here, the run where we beat the final horizon without skills or stats. You will get to see how much of this game we just take completely for granted because being unable to attack with Tails was just not the vibe. And Tower 5, oh man, I don't even know what I was doing with this tower. I'm watching back the footage and thinking, man, you know you can jump over that shit? But that was light work. Trial 5 is a whole other story. The whole point of waiting until after the patch to do this was to avoid all the bugs and hope that they made the parry window fairer. In extreme mode, they didn't really. You're still looking for near frame perfect timing, and you're likely to only land the parry if you're 100% sure you know when you're going to get hit. Now, I did do the King's Trial on hard pre-patch, so I kind of have an idea of what to do, but the consequences this time around are far more severe. Quick side loop is pretty useful, but you won't have much difficulty beating Giganto without it. And if you can manage that, you should stick to it. Speedrunners can do this crazy side loop at the start of the second phase where they can land a manual side loop before Giganto can shoot the laser. So if you can manage that, do it. If you can't, it's not a big deal, but it will save you a small handful of rings if you can. That realistic, when you get to the end, they didn't really count. I recalled a commenter saying you can dodge Giganto's side loop attack, and sure enough, it worked. You can throw a parry out as soon as you line up with Giganto, which unlocks Sonic's movement, and then you can move and dodge freely afterwards. Then whatever damage method you like will end the fight. We want to reduce how much we have to use the parry properly, and this will greatly reduce the risk of it letting you down. Just for convenience sake, I used the code to allow spin dashing and auto run so I could mostly bypass the wyvern chase part. This fight needed a lot of practice, so I didn't want to waste any time. Now, if you've seen my most recent Hedgehog May Cry video, you'll remember that you can also bypass the missiles during the wyvern fight by holding a dodge button. For some reason, you just become invincible during that, so if you need to use it, use it. But what you can do is hold one bumper to stay invincible and press the other to parry a missile once it makes contact, because you'll be invincible right up until the parry window is active, basically giving you a free pass for the missiles. But when you make contact with wyvern, it's a whole other story. Understanding when that hitbox actually makes contact is a nightmare, and you'll likely just die again and again until I reveal the secret.
I don't want to talk your bitch.
I mean, the secret is just that abusing the invincibility frames works for the close range attacks too, and I mean literally all of them. It is insane. I think a lot of people playing this category have already figured this out, but it took me a while to. I was more focused on how to damage wyvern efficiently, and as it turns out, once I figured out the parry strat, it really doesn't matter how you damage wyvern. I was still stuck here for more than one session, running into tech issues every now and then, and had to repeat the tower at one point. I realized that for Knight, you're going to run out of patience if you can't side loop him up at the second phase, because his sword attacks are just weird. You could probably get a manual side loop off, but the timing is strict and feels very inconsistent, so I'm going to make sure this fight is calculated to start Knight with enough quick side loop. And the best way to achieve it is just to not use it against Giganto, and you don't have to, nor even need to parry them. Against wyvern, abuse invincibility frames for every possible attack, no matter how risky the timing might seem. This includes the tail whip and the laser attacks. The difference this makes is absolutely nuts. Go for the bulk of your damage after a quick side loop because they'll take more damage in that state. Then against Knight, the only attacks you need to parry is the first sword strike and then the shield in phase 2. Other than that, you can just kick his face to drop the shield and quick side loop up and just decimate the HP part with cross slash. The trial was a pain in the ass for sure. I'd still rather play Brawlhalla ranked than do this trial on extreme, so that should give you an idea of how frustrating it can get. But with a bit of practice, you should get it down pretty easily. It certainly feels good to be good at this trial. And the same applies for Supreme. I'm still disappointed that the Unleashed XP crystals don't do any damage, but at least they're enough to throw you off. I'm still doing what I did in the last challenge and just going to cross slash their HP all the way down, a day one strategy that they never did anything about. One thing I definitely can't go back from is the unused quick time event that I left enabled for this, but other than that, there's nothing else to say about Supreme. Sega, buff this guy, they need it so badly. In the early phase of the end, just focus on getting the cable disconnected. The plasma shots also won't do any damage, but they will still reduce your ring count. Be warned, because this is the only time you can afford to get hit by them, because in the main fight, they will kill you instantly. The timing for parrying these is a bit fidgety at first, but once you get it down, you practically can't fail. Use a side loop after disconnecting the cable, and then resort to the old reliable cross slash. But your biggest enemy in the final phase is the risk of the game crashing.
The game just crashed!
After spending nearly 2 hours on the trial in one sitting, I was not prepared to continue on this that night and went back a day or so later with the expectation to fail constantly, but hey, I didn't! When the end does the plasma shots, back up somewhat far so the trees don't get in the way. And then if you choose to side loop, make sure to actually parry the laser, because that was the first time I've ever failed it. Side loop is still consistent otherwise. As cool as it is to use another one for that sick animation, just stalling out and using cross slash until the HP is down will do fine. And then side loop the gun out, simple as that. In the final phase, if Supreme starts with the rage charge attack, which they usually do, you've basically won. Just parry their back, break the cable, charge quick side loop a bit more with the cyclone kick if you need to, side loop, and then cross slash until you win. And that's it. The king emerges victorious once again.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
I don't know if I think extreme difficulty is the ideal way to play this game at a high level. I do have my criticisms about extreme, but I will save them all for another day. This video took an incredibly long time to make, so any and all support is much appreciated. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and drop a comment down below if you want. I love reading them. And subscribe for more content like this. A message for any newcomers to the channel: I have a completely non-existent upload schedule, but I'm working on getting some more frequent content out. If you want more content from me in the meantime, feel free to follow me over on Twitch as Snackpigeon with a 1 and a 0. We do lots of Sonic stuff over there, like recording these challenges or picking a random Sonic game to do 100% on, as well as some other games. You'll see Resident Evil over there too. I've been thinking about what other challenges I can do for future videos, but I think the next one is going to be Sonic Generations with the first person camera mod. Oh boy, this is going to make me sick, but it'll be worth it, trust. Big shout out to Hweilla and Makon for the work on the thumbnail, and that's about all from me. I've been Snack, and I will see you in the next one.